radio. This is the Paul Finebaum Show. And now, Paul Finebaum.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Paul Finebaum radio program. Once again, it is not Paul Finebaum in this radio chair, the captain's chair. It's a very nice chair here at his SEC Network studios. It is Peter Burns from the SEC Network studio host, hosted alongside Big Booger McFarland, my partner in crime during our football season. And Boogie, we got off to a good, nice start yesterday. I felt like the first day you and I got an opportunity to work together and get the opportunity to sit in for the Finebaum and Finebaum Nation. We didn't say anything controversial. I thought it was pretty smooth sailing.
Well, listen, I'll speak for myself. I didn't say anything controversial, but, you, on the other hand, when you predict Alabama's going to lose 4 regular season games and then a bowl game, I think that would be a little controversy, my friend.
And it's one of the things that we're going to get into today. Bovada.com or Bovada.lv or Bovada.whatever website it is that lists the college football championship odds. We have those odds that came out, and you'll be shocked to find out where Alabama is on that. So we'll discuss that coming up a little bit today. We've got this incredible DeAndre Jordan story. Now, not DeAndre Johnson. We know that story of the Florida State quarterback who's been dismissed. But this is the DeAndre Jordan story of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, normally, Boog, we don't talk a whole heck of a lot of NBA basketball, especially this time of year in the dog days of summer right before media days. But it has a lot of tentacles into college football and what we've seen about guys making a verbal commitment to a school and deciding at the last second they get cold feet and, hey, they put a signature to paper and send it off to a fax machine, and a lot of coaches' hearts are broken. So that's going to be one of the overwhelming themes today. We're going to have Zac Ellis of Sports Illustrated, who covered Lane Kiffin and his Tennessee and USC decision. We'll also have Pat Dooley in for the Gainsville Sun coming up a little bit later, who covered Urban Meyer's retirement and unretirement and then headed to Ohio State. Then, of course, Billy Donovan, Florida, and then now headed out to Oklahoma City Thunder. So we got a little bit of it all covered, but we're going to get you guys started as well, too. The hashtag today, Booger, I think it's only right that we do college football bold predictions. So the hashtag today for the Finebaum Show is CFB bold predictions, based on what I went yesterday, and it was a tough day for me back at the Burns household when I rolled back into the house after the Finebaum Show.
Why is that, by the way? Please share with everyone why that is.
Quickly, so my fiance is a diehard Crimson Tide fan. I'm talking, you want to ask her what they ranked in the SEC in 1987 in Russian, she's going to give you the number. She's that type of diehard fan. And so all I know is I walk into the door late last night after the show, and it's not, hey, honey, great to see you. It had nothing to do with how was the show. It was, what in the world did you say on Finebaum's show, and why is my phone blowing up? And I go and tell her, I was like, we were talking about the schedule, we were talking about the season, and you and I got into a discussion of the scheduling. And I said, I think Alabama goes 8-4. And she goes, well, why in the world would you say that? I go, hold on. If this is not, I'm hoping for 8-4. This has nothing to do with hoping that Alabama goes 8-4, sweetie. This has everything, because I hope Alabama goes 14-0. You know what that means, Boog? We're celebrating an SEC another title. I'm all good for that. I want every single SEC school to go undefeated, because then we get to celebrate a title here. And needless to say, I had to go fend for myself for dinner, and at any point I got no remote control privileges. It was a world of hurt all day long.
Here's the one thing you're going to learn, especially since you're not married and getting married.
Right.
As minimal times you can keep your wife's name out of the paper and out of the headlines, you'll be a lot better off as far as your stomach and also your sanity when you get home, big guy.
Is that a rule? Is that Booger's rule of life? That's probably number 2.
It's just a judgment, not a rule. Just a simple judgment that I would pass along to you.
All right, so we're going to have you guys. So I did the talking yesterday. And we'll take those phone calls if you want to debate it and to discuss it. We had some good discussions about why we think not only just Alabama, but what these teams are going to look like as we transcend down in Birmingham for SEC Media Days coming up on Monday, which is basically the official start. So get your lines, phone lines lit up right now, 855-242-7285. Of course, 855-242-PAUL is the number. But, Boog, I'm going to have you start us off, too. We're using that hashtag college football bold predictions. And give me one of the idea of the bold prediction of what we're trying to accomplish here today in this program.
Well, for me, and I've said this, if you follow me all offseason, people have heard me say this. And I think, the Eastern Division of the SEC, Missouri has staked a claim there the last couple of years. Georgia, people think that Georgia is the big dog on the block this year. I'm going a little different. I think Tennessee wins the East this year, and I think it's for a couple of reasons. I'm in love with Josh Dobbs, and no pun intended. Hey, he's a man, I'm a man, but I am in love with Josh Dobbs because I love the way he plays, okay? I love the fact that he's a young quarterback. He can deliver the football from the pocket, but he also understands I'm a quarterback first and a runner second. So when you watch him play, he's not the type of quarterback that looks at his first read and takes off. He's the type of quarterback that surveys the field, and then he gets outside. And then when you talk about Tennessee, from a wide receiver standpoint, Marquez North, Pig Howard, some of the guys that they have coming back, okay, the running back position, you talk about Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd, right.
The biggest weakness that they had last year was the offensive line. And they gave up 30 or 35 sacks before Josh Dobbs got in the lineup, but after Dobbs got in the lineup, that number dwindled down to about 10.
I was going to say, it was right at single digits, right?
Right. Some of that had to do with their play. Some of that had to do with his ability to get out of the pocket. But I think this offensive line, they're bringing everybody back except one guy. They're going to be more experienced. And Butch Jones has put together a couple of good recruiting classes in a row. So for me, Peter, okay, I think Tennessee wins the East this year over Missouri, over Georgia, over South Carolina, who until last year won 11 games 3 years in a row. I think this is Tennessee's year. They may be the sexy pick, but you know what? They're also the bold pick. Tennessee wins the SEC East this year.
All right, so there we go. Hashtag CFB bold prediction is what we're in here. And, Boog, when you look at that schedule, they play that first game, Bowling Green in Nashville. Then they get an Oklahoma team, which we don't really know what's going to show up. That's the coming out party for Tennessee, is it not? If Butch Jones can go and have that opportunity there, and Rocky Top is screaming with 100,000 plus fans over in Neyland, and they beat Oklahoma, that's the season right there in week 2.
It's a good opportunity to get them started. It's an opportunity to say, okay, everybody around the country wake up. Hey, take a look at Knoxville, because the Tennessee that you used to know, hey, guess what? We're back. I don't think it does much for them as far as conference play, because Oklahoma is so different than a lot of the teams that they play in the conference. But it'll be a nice wake-up call for everybody around the country that Butch Jones has done a tremendous job in Knoxville recruiting. He's done a tremendous job of allowing Josh Dobbs to kind of sit on the bench for a little bit, okay? And when it was time, he put him in the lineup, and now it's his team. He said, I want Joshua Dobbs to be the CEO of this team. I want you to run this team like it's a professional organization. And to me, Peter, you win those first 2 games, especially against Oklahoma, and I think everybody in the SEC is going to be on notice.
Oh, my goodness. And here, this was crazy. When I was out in Knoxville for the spring practice tour and the spring tour that we did on SEC Network, it was incredible that Butch Jones allowed Josh Dobbs to sit in the offensive coordinator interviews. I didn't think I had ever heard of that, because he wanted to know what direction that they could work together, and that's when you know that you've got a sharp young man running your franchise, and that's what I'll call Tennessee, because the branding's back, Butch Jones, and they're rolling right there. All right, we're using hashtag CFB bold predictions. We'll go out to the phone lines right now, good buddy. Dr. Todd Slaughter is in here on the Paul Finebaum Show. What's going on, Doc?
Well, I tell you what, that's a lot of talk on Dobbs in Tennessee for a team that hasn't done nothing since Peyton. So I hard to back that up. But anyway, listen, you and I have been knowing each other for a while, and I was visiting with friends, third hole tee box from the tips, and it came up that Finebaum's backup quarterback had said some things, erroneous, I might add, about Alabama. So I figured since I know you, I'd go right to the source and find out what it was that you said yesterday about Alabama.
Well, Doc, what I said was I was concerned about what Alabama has in front of them this year, simply because of when you look at the position groups that you don't want to be weak in, quarterback, offensive line, and secondary. If you don't want to have question marks in any of those three position groups, unfortunately, those are the three position groups you just don't want to have question marks in, and there's still some question marks. And you combine that with going to a schedule, which is, according to Phil Steele, and he does his research, we got his college football preview right in front of us, and all analysts say that it's one of the top 5 hardest schedules in college football, that things could break a different way. I'm pulling for 14-0. But my brain, as small as it may be, Doc, says it might be a 4-loss season.
Yeah, well, listen, that's all you said and got people upset about that?
Indeed.
We're used to being doubted for a long time. And let me just tell you this much, okay? You might, and I know you don't study Alabama's roster like you should, or you could have mentioned Ashawn, what you should call Deshaun, because once this one's done, he's shutting down the whole. He's shutting down that whole bracket. No more Sean Robinsons when Ashawn's done, because he's going to shut that category down. Number one, Cam Robinson. Didn't mention him when you talk about offensive line. Best bell cow left tackle going. Coker. You should be talking about him over Dobbs.
Cam Robinson is the. Hold on one sec. Cam Robinson is the second best left tackle in the SEC behind Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, well, it's SEC West, so that's fine with me. I don't care. That doesn't make me none as long as we're in the mix. Now,
I got you.
Let me say this, okay? So let's just say we do lose 5 games. Let's say that happens. Well, that's bad for 2 reasons. Number one, that means that Nick Saban and them are busy with the 4 R's. Rest, relaxation, recovery, and recruiting. And we all know when the 4 R's align, we got that locked down for another 6 years on the West and the East of the SEC. Number 2, if we're all about our place, our conference, winning championships, you all know that we give us the best shot, Alabama. So if we're losing 5, that's bad news all across the board. Ain't going to be Butch Jones. Mark Richt has trouble pulling his socks up in the morning. He's so slow. Les Miles can't do nothing. We know he's finished lucking into championships. The Mississippis, we saw what happened when the Heat gets on last year. So, we may win 5. That may happen. You might be right on that. That just means you better look out for 16, because in 2016 there's going to be some problems.
Doc, as always, very good stuff here on the Paul Finebaum Show, and we continue to take those phone calls because we continue to want to know what your college football bowl predictions are going to be. Hashtag CFB Bowl Predictions. We'll get into them. We've got some great interviews coming up as well today. It's Booger and Burns filling in for the Paul Finebaum Show. He is Booger McFarland. I am Peter Burns, in for Paul.
When our water heater...
Program. That is not Paul Finebaum. It is the voice of Peter Burns, SEC Network anchor, alongside Booger McFarland, in for Paul for the next couple of days. Your phone calls always welcome, 855-242-PAUL or 855-242-7285. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Peter Burns ESPN or Boogers at SEC Booger. Back to the phone lines we will go. Jerome, welcome to the Paul Finebaum Show. What's up?
Hey, what's up, fella? First of all, this ain't the Paul Finebaum Show. It's the Booger and Peter Burns Show.
There you go, Booger and Burns.
Yeah, Booger and Burns. Listen to me, Burns. Hey, it ain't no problem with you sleeping on the couch, man. You gonna sleep on the couch plenty of nights if your wife is an Alabama fan. Hey, listen to me. Booger, listen to me. It don't matter. In love with, come on, man. You got to. You're LSU, man. What in the world are you doing in love with Tennessee?
I'm in love with the quarterback, okay, because I believe in the quarterback.
That ain't gonna help nothing. I believed in them last year. Didn't help nothing. I believed in doggone by Blake Sims last year. Didn't help nothing. So what that got to do with anything?
You was a year too early, man.
Hey, but listen to me, man. If y'all keep predicting like y'all predicting, man, eventually y'all gonna get it right. Ever since little Nicky landed down there in the airstrip in Tuscaloosa, y'all been predicting he was gonna leave, lose, do something. He ain't done it yet, fellas. Why in the world are we wasting our time? If 5 losses, Peter, listen, I was helping my wife clean up this morning. I like to pass out when I heard that. Listen, 5 wins, but 5 losses. But Peter, please tell me you playing. Because if not, But to be honest with you, Peter, I'm not worried about it, though. But I tell you like this right here, though. Like I told you before, if y'all keep predicting it, y'all eventually going to get it right. Little Nicky been whooping ass in the SEC since he got here, man. You hear me? Since he got here. After we lost the greatest offensive line in the nation, as y'all say, you know what we do the next year? We replaced them with 5 guys and won a national championship. You hear me? After we lost Parker Wilson, who wasn't working, and they told us to mark A.J. McCann, the rest of them clowns down there play quarterback wasn't working. But guess what we've been doing every year, fellas? Can y'all tell me? Let me tell y'all, we've been whooping ass. So eventually, y'all gonna get it right. So I tell you like this right here. Roll Tide and have a good day.
There you go. Jerome's in here. All right, we're going to get in our guest, Zac Ellis from Sports Illustrated, joining us right now. Because, Zach, I guess we could start right there and talk about what Nick Saban has done and the success that he's had, right? Because I think that's really where this conference, this unbelievable football conference, the greatest football conference that the college football world has ever seen, really started turning when you had Nick Saban come in from Michigan State, land at LSU, and from that moment on, what he did at LSU and what he did at Alabama has really turned this conference around when it talks to college football.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it, to be honest with you. Because I think so many people right now, at least in today's college football, look at what he's done at Alabama, but certainly you could argue that it kicked off when he was at LSU. But I think him coming to a place like Alabama in particular and taking, a traditional power and turning it back into the SEC power that so many people knew historically, I think did a lot to really kind of, no pun intended, turn the tide of the league in recent years. And so certainly what he's done there has been pretty remarkable. And what he's done just in the SEC in general has been when he found his time at LSU, and that's kind of when it started. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Zach, my bold prediction was that Tennessee is going to win the East and play for an SEC title this year. You follow me? Or you feel me at all?
I'm still a little hesitant about that. I like to think that 2016 might be the year when Tennessee finally steps up and really contends. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think I like starting 22 that Tennessee has. There's a lot of experience there from last year. They've played a lot of young guys because they've had to, and because of that, they have experience on that starting 22. But what I worry about is what happens behind those 22. I think the depth right now is still maybe a little bit of an issue as Bush Jones tries to kind of reload there with some really good recruiting class that he's got. And so because of that, when injuries come into play as the year goes on, I think we could see Tennessee maybe not live up to those kind of expectations. And the other part of it is that I still need to see this Tennessee team, win a game it's not supposed to win. And I know you can't really compare season to season, but you think about last year, its best couple of wins were against the South Carolina team that's one of the worst ones in recent history under Steve Spurrier, and then an Iowa team in its bowl game that was kind of reeling towards the end of the year. And so I think, you look at the way this year starts out for them, I think getting Oklahoma at home in week 2 could be a real springboard game for them and see where they could go and what they could really do when they get into conference play. But I'm going to hold and be a little bit hesitant on that right now. I do think they'll be interesting to watch in the SEC East. I just don't know if they're an SEC contender quite yet. I might want to wait till 2016 when they've got a little more depth.
So if not Tennessee, then who in the East?
I'm still going to lean on Georgia. And I know that seems kind of strange considering the fact they're breaking a new quarterback and there's maybe some questions on the defensive side. And then I think that, maybe that's me not giving Missouri enough credit. But I still think that Georgia, kind of with the talent they've got there, and the fact they've got Nick Chubb, who you could argue might be one of the best players, he's the best player in the conference. And I think as long as they have a quarterback and find somebody there who won't lose games for them and just kind of keeps things steady and knows how to hand the ball off to him with an offensive line that's returning a pretty good amount of experience, I still think Georgia is the team right now in the East to beat. But I can definitely see how Tennessee could probably contend and maybe sneak in there into the conversation. I just don't know if they're there yet as far as stepping up on the big stage. So I'm going to go with Georgia as of right now.
Zac Ellis of Sports Illustrated is our guest right now on the Paul Finebaum Show. Zac, an incredible story unfolded late last night in the drama on social media of DeAndre Jordan, Los Angeles Clippers, free agent, said he was going to go to the Dallas Mavericks, then doesn't even return phone calls to Mark Cuban, who's not happy about that. And basically, the Clippers held him hostage at his house until he signed his contract. And it was interesting because I thought, man, this is the NBA's first glimpse of what goes on in front of every single college football fan base, every single recruiting day, and you were there during the Lane Kiffin kind of Tennessee USC decision. I mean, what did you take from big name coaches and big name sports figures having this indecision play out in the public limelight?
Right. Well, I was, as you kind of alluded to, I was a student reporter with the newspaper there at UT, and the night that season, that was Lane Kiffin's one season there, I was covering the football for the student paper, and so obviously, I think people were surprised for a number of reasons that he were to leave. Number one, it was just after 1 year, people thought this was going to be the next era of Tennessee football, considering that for 16, 17 years before that, it was the Philip Fulmer show there in Knoxville. People knew what to expect. He was a very reserved guy when it came to being in media appearances and off the field, and then you kind of switch gears to a really different person in Lane Kiffin when it comes to the public appearance and how he sells the program. So people thought this was the new era of Tennessee football, and then all of a sudden, after, I think it was 14 months, he leaves town for the USC job. And that was the other part that really surprised people, was that, for as maybe much hype that was surrounding the Tennessee program under Kiffin and the way he'd recruited in that 1 year there, I don't think a lot of people expected that USC was going to offer the job to somebody who had not done a really good job at the Oakland Raiders and had only been a head coach on the college level for one season at Tennessee with a roster full of somebody else's players. So I think it shocked a lot of people that he would leave after one season and that USC would go after him for their coaching position.
Zac, last question for you. If you're an Alabama Crimson Tide listening to this very program right now, how concerned are you about Lane Kiffin wanting to take that next step and being a head coach again?
It sounds crazy, but I do think another year or two of what they did kind of last year, and I think that people are going to start to kind of reach out to Kiffin again and say, hey, listen, that this could work again. I don't know who it's going to be, don't know when it'll be, but I do think that Lane Kiffin at some point could sneak into a conversation and possibly get a head coaching job somewhere along the line. And I thought the same thing when Nick Saban hired Lane Kiffin. A lot of people kind of raised their eyebrow at that. At that decision, but I thought it was a good hire because for all we can say about Lane Kiffin as a head coach, he's got a pretty proven track record as a recruiter and as an offensive assistant, and I think he did a really good job with them last year. This year, I think there will be a challenge for them because they've returned so little experience on that side of the ball. No quarterback, no Amari Cooper. They've got a lot of talent from their recruiting, but they're going to be a lot of new faces in new places there. And so if he can keep building and doing what they did last year on offense with the players that they have, I think another year or two, you're going to see his name pop up as a head coach at other places.
Hey, and you know what? For a lot of people, that may be a good thing because guess what? If other people want to hire your offensive coordinator, that means things have gone well, and guess what? That means you're probably not losing 4 games in a season. Zac Ellis of Sports Illustrated has been our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at Zac Ellis. Zac, we appreciate the time. More of your phone calls coming up as well. 855-242-PAUL, and we'll talk to Pat Dooley as well, too, talking about some of the different things going down in Gainesville when Booger and Burns, Peter Burns, Booger McFarland return in on the Paul Finebaum Show.
Individuals and...
program. Booger and Burns in yet once again for Paul Finebaum. Peter Burns for the SEC Network studio anchor alongside Booger McFarland, one of my partners in crime during football season. Both of us will be out there in Birmingham next week for SEC Media Days as basically the official kickoff of college football season because it all starts here in the SEC, and a man that's going to be there as well is now our guest on the Paul Finebaum program, Pat Dooley from the Gainesville Sun. Pat, are you getting geared up? Are you ready to go? You already packed for SEC Media Days?
I get the wash in. I'm not packed yet. My packing will be done probably tomorrow, but yeah, it's a long week out there, and I'm looking forward to it. Though it's exciting. That the unfortunate thing, guys, is that then it's over and there's nothing happening for a couple weeks. There's no practices, there's no games, there's nothing.
Pat, what's the biggest storyline that you're looking for when you show up next week? Is it Tennessee? Is it the quarterback situation? Is it all the defensive coordinators that are turned over? What's your biggest storyline?
Well, I think the biggest storyline really is the situation here in Gainesville, because it is. Florida has been pretty mediocre for 5 years. They had the one good year, and then again another new coach. Offensively, they've been awful for 5 years. So I think for most of the media, now I'm not sure I'll write about that because that's what I've been writing about for a long time. But probably the one I'm looking forward to writing more than anything is Steve Spurrier, who is a friend of mine, but who this could be it for him. This could be the last year. Last year was almost the last year for him. So that's the one. I'm curious how he'll answer those questions. As you know, he's going to be funny. How honest will he be about answering questions about how close it was to being the analyst last year?
Well, don't know if it's going to be last year, but we'll give it a try. Yeah,
I bet somebody every year, I bet a writer, every year $1, that the first words he'll say are, okay. And the second thing he'll say is how many years he's been coming to SEC Media Day. So I'll bet you guys $1 that right now. That's my 23rd year here.
It's always great, especially in the midweek press conference, too. Okay. Charleston Southern. Don't know much about them, but they play football just like us. We got 11 on offense, 11 on defense. We'll be pretty good. They'll be pretty good. Just looking forward to a good game. It's that's the way Spurrier does it. But, Pat, how much do you think this year's success or lack of it plays into Spurrier's decision on how long he'll stay in Columbia?
Oh, I think it's huge. I think last year was a miserable year for him. I knew it was bad when he beat Florida in a game they had no business winning and was apologetic and was talking about Will Muschamp and how much he liked Will. And I went, whoa. That's not Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier's a guy who goes, yeah, we found a way to win. For some reason, they always play bad against us. But I think that last year, the Miami game kind of gave him new life. I think he was ready to go before that. And beating Miami in the bowl game, he mentioned, I was at Ray Gray's memorial, and Steve gave a great talk, as you would expect him to. And he mentioned that his senior year, at Florida, he lost to two teams, Georgia and Miami. He said, we beat them both this year, so maybe there's some karma there. So, I mean, I think that winning, I think he's got to have a winning season to come back. I think it's got to be a good take, and not 7-6. He hates to lose more than anybody, and I just think they've got to have a good year for him to come back for another year.
Pat, when you look at this conference, a lot of turnover at the defensive coordinator position, 7 new coordinators. And if you count Derek Mason, who's going to call the plays in Vanderbilt, there are going to be 8 new play callers on the defensive side of the football in this conference. Who's under the most pressure?
Well, you just gave me a good column idea for out there. Thank you very much. I appreciate
that. $20. $20. I'm his agent, Pat. So $20 over here. We'll be in good shape.
I will buy you a cocktail at some point out there. I think probably the most pressure is going to be on Chavis at A&M because people look at him as a miracle worker. They think I think he's a good coordinator. I'm not sure how great he is, and A&M's talent is probably not that good. Muschamp, look, if they're average, people are going to love. They may have a statue erected to him at Auburn if they're just good or average because their offense is so good. I think for Chavis, there's an expectation, especially all the contact stuff they went through and everything, that this guy's going to turn it around right away. So that would be the guy. Now, obviously, Derek Mason's under a lot of pressure. As you said, he's going to call the defensive plays this year, but they were not competitive last year. So they've got to get a lot better just for him to be, again, Vandy doesn't fire coaches, but he's got to get it. He's got to get it done out there. But I would go Chavis.
Pat Dooley, the great Pat Dooley of the Gainesville Sun, joining us here on the Paul Finebaum program. Pat, you covered the Urban Meyer retirement and unretirement and going to Ohio State, and you were there for Billy Donovan and Florida to the Orlando Magic and now the Thunder. And we see this with DeAndre Jordan of the Clippers, reneging on a deal to go from the Dallas Mavericks all the way and stayed back with the Los Angeles Clippers. How did those play out there, specifically in the Gainesville community, with both Urban Meyer and Billy Donovan's decisions?
Well, they were bizarre. There's no question about it. I think with DeAndre Jordan, it was in such a short period of time, but it was more of a commitment. Like in other words, you see these decommitments and silent commitments and quiet commitments, and which drives you crazy in recruiting. That to me was more what that was like. When you have a coach leave, especially a coach, and Billy Donovan had won back-to-back national championships, Urban Meyer had won 2 out of 3. And for both those guys, when they left, it was just so bizarre. It was out of nowhere. And then for them to come back was even more bizarre. But they were different. In Urban's case, it really was Mickey Marotti, who was the strength coach, who walked up to him at practice the day after he announced he was leaving and said, "Do you realize how many people's lives you just affected? The secretaries, the support staff, the trainers, all these people." And that's when Urban went to Jeremy Foley, actually called him from the practice field, went up and they met, and he said, "Look, I want Steve Adazio to take my place." And Jeremy said, this is all coming from Urban. We've had many talks about this. And he said, basically, he says, I'm not ready to do that, but why don't you let Steve be your interim coach for a while and you get healthy? So, and then, of course, it didn't work out. With Billy, it was like he came back and he goes, maybe I haven't done everything I can do here. Once he took the Magic job, he realized, I don't know that I've done everything I could do here. So he came back and tried to get it. And again, they went to 4 straight final or Elite Eights and 1 Final Four. So this year when he left, it was, we all knew there was no coming back. It was time for him. But they were kind of different, but at the same time, 2 of the most bizarre stories I've covered here covering the Gators.
Speaking of coaches leaving and maybe coming back, I think Les Miles' seat is a little warm in Baton Rouge. It may not be totally hot, but I think of all the coaches in this conference, his seat is a little warm. You agree or disagree?
I think it is, but I think he's the one who's made it warm because of his success. I mean, go back and look at your history, LSU. I mean, it's not like you were, national contenders every year.
Easy now, Pat. Easy now.
No. I mean, seriously, you had Mike Archer. Okay, I think that what he's done has been tremendous there, and has made them into a team. I mean, when you're sitting there and you're looking at this season, you're circling games that LSU's playing in because it's LSU. I think he's been really hurt by quarterback play, certainly last year, and I'm not sure it's going to be that much better this year. But I like Les Miles. This conference, there's a great line at the end of Silence of the Lambs, where she says, Jodie Foster says, the world wouldn't be as interesting without me. And I guess Hannibal says it to her. The world that's the SEC. The SEC would not be as interesting without Les Miles and Steve Spurrier. And one day we're going to have to deal without them. Okay, but I don't want it to be right away. I want those guys to be around because they're so much fun to talk to and so interesting in different ways. Spurrier's funny, fighting, will shoot you down. Les you never know what he's going to say. He's out there. But I think, it's a crossroads year for them. There's no question about it. In fact, those 2 teams playing Columbia later in the year, and I think that could be a huge game for both those guys in terms of whether they're back next year.
And it'll be a press conference for the ages, win or lose or draw, no matter what. Hey, he's Pat Dooley of the Gainesville Sun, a legend. We will visit with him next week at SEC Media Days. Pat, as always, we appreciate the time.
Look forward to it, guys. We'll see you.
There it is, Pat Dooley of the Gainesville Sun. Booger and Burns, Peter Burns, Booger McFarland in for Paul Finebaum. Your call's next on the Paul Finebaum Show.
This is the...
Welcome back to the Paul Finebaum Show. it is Booger and Burns. Peter Burns from the SEC Network and Booger McFarland holding down Paul Finebaum's mighty throne here on this great radio station, on the great radio program for this great conference. And we get some of the legends. They're calling in right now. Let's go straight to him. Man, thanks for joining the Paul Finebaum Show. What's up?
Good afternoon, guys.
Up,
that wasn't the Ohio players, and that wasn't Earth, Wind, and Fire. That was the man himself. And what did he say? I want to take you higher.
I like it, man.
Don't you like the way he said that? Higher. Just like the man. Higher. Yeah, there wasn't no engine out there hollering at Custer. That was Sly. You know, you guys make this show fun. And I don't know why everybody sits around and complains, because that's what this show is. It's fun. And yesterday, when you said 8-5, the Bammers out there was to come apart like a Mr. Potato Head with no eyes. It was predictable. When I heard that, I turned the radio up. I said, "Don't touch that station," because I knew it was a meltdown. That was a bunch of people running around a bush till they turned into butter, and it wasn't even good butter.
We were trying to take them. You know what I mean? We were trying to take them higher. That's what we were trying to do. Higher.
You know, and you had to know that when you said 5. That there's every Bama fan out there. We don't lose 5 games when Nick Saban has a week to prepare. We win. Well, how'd that work out? How'd that work out with Urban Meyer? See, the Bammers, they wanted Florida State because they wanted to teach Jameis Winston a lesson, but it didn't happen. Oregon made Jameis Winston look foolish. And Ohio State did the same thing to the University of Alabama, and Nick Saban had the same amount of time as Urban Meyer. And, you know, everybody, the Bama fans especially, where the SEC was down. No, it wasn't down. You were down. And then you get these Georgia callers calling, well, we beat Auburn. We got them 20 out of 20. I mean, what did it get you? Hell, who hadn't beat Auburn? But Auburn has beaten somebody that did something, and Auburn has done himself.
Yo. I think you're getting high. I think you're getting high off your stuff, off your air conditioner, you snorting jerk.
You don't even understand what you're talking about.
Why don't you talk about your team, 8-5? You loser. You want to get on here every time and be the one-trick pony about Bama. Why don't you find you some new talk? Like how y'all gonna get out of 8-5 this year?
Will you hush for a minute before I push you off that tee? I mean, what are you hitting from the women's tee with this call? I mean, you don't even understand what you're talking about. You don't even understand the cost of Freon. It's high as gold. Why would I be snorting it when I could be selling it to you? And then, see, you don't even have a clue. That's all you got. One-trick pony. One-trick pony.
You don't even
know who
my
won that
players.
song.
I know my team. I know Bama. I can name you players on the team. You can't even name your damn quarterback, probably, because you don't care about Auburn. All you care about is coming on here and ranting about Bama. So why don't you shut that freaking pie and get you a grip, and why don't you get higher?
To take control. I think I'm going to go ahead and take control now. Booger, you good with taking control of that? Do you want me to take you higher?
Listen, first of all, don't sing again, Pete. And
come on, man. I can rock that karaoke style.
No, you can't, buddy.
You're
but,
right.
Hey, listen, that's what you call good stuff. 2 fan bases sticking up for each other. I like it. Listen, our man said he want to take you higher. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know what it is, though? I don't like it. I love it, Booger, because this is something that makes the SEC unique that no other conference can do. You don't get this in the Big Ten. You don't get this in the Pac-10, 12, whatever the hell they're at right now. You sure as hell don't get it in the Big 12. ACC, are you kidding me? This is a different fraternity of sports fans down here in the SEC, and that's why it's the best conference in the history of the United States of America, and I'll stand by that. 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. We'll take some more of those phone calls coming up on the other side. We got Rick Harrow down in the middle of the next hour as well. It is Booger and Burns in for the mighty Paul Finebaum Show. Follow us on Twitter at Peter Burns ESPN and at SEC Booger. More coming up next on the Paul Finebaum Show. Well, don't know if it's going to be last year, but we'll give it a try.
Are you looking? Geico presents Strange Savings Stories.
Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.